Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics Pre-Lockout Chat ahead of round 7. We are embarking on the second half of the season, which is exciting, and it has gone very, very quickly. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And joining me, as always, is my co-host and fellow AFLW Fantasy Fanatic. It is Tom Hales. Tom, mate, how are you? Keen for another weekend of fantasy? And we're doing a different one on a Wednesday night. How are you?
Yeah, it's nice and early. It's weird doing this without all of the information, but I feel like we have a fair bit with injury reports, and good to get our teams set up before a full weekend-long extravaganza of footy.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it very, very much. And joining us is a special guest. It's been a couple of weeks since we had a special guest on, which is nice to always get someone else to jump on. It's one of our favourites. It is Liam from Free Kick. I believe the first time during the season we've got the man on. Liam, mate, how are you? Looking forward to a big week of footy. It's a big week in Melbourne, obviously, with all the AFLW games, grand final, everything. But how are you?
I'm very good. I am looking forward to the footy being on in Melbourne. I am less excited for the prospect of going to Windy Hill on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock because I have a feeling that the largest margin ever record is in serious danger of being bested again when the Bombers play against North Melbourne. Truly one of the more depressing feelings against Fremantle, just realising, oh no, we're really that bad. And then knowing that we've got North next week and there's no respite. There's no hope. There's nothing. There's no, like, Jazz Garner and Ash Riddell both had the flu. So there's a possibility Whitfield could nothing.
What other games are you going to? Obviously, because there's so many games in like that. I'm really annoyed that Crows, the men's, didn't make the grand final because I was going to Melbourne and I was going to go to a number of these games. But with the Crows not making it, I didn't end up making the trip over. But how many games are you going to on the Friday? Because it's like a little mini sort of one-day gather round over in Melbourne.
Look, it'll probably just be the one. I'll probably just go to Windy Hill. In fact, actually, the fact that they're all one after another makes it actually difficult to go to more than two. Because they're not actually that closely situated around Melbourne. I don't think anyone's making it from Casey Fields back to Windy Hill before three-quarter time for those that aren't from Melbourne. And then I might duck down to see RSEA Park on Sunday afternoon.
Yep, they're going to watch Serene the Dream, that's for sure. She's been very, very good last few weeks. But let's get stuck into round 7. And I think this is a round where you probably didn't last week, which I know a few people did if they're in a good spot, but you're probably doing that last upgrade trade in your team, or at least last couple, and getting to a near complete team. So then I guess we'll go to you. What are your current trade plans? And I believe you said on the pod on Tuesday that this is probably you're upgrading your team fully this week. Is that where you're leaning at the moment?
Yeah, I'm still looking at the same position. The big conundrum for me is, well, I have two conundrums. One, which out of Blaheen Bogue, who probably scores better this week but is more likely to lose cash, do I trade out like Bogue being one and then Too Good being the other, who has a dreadful matchup but has a lower break even and probably a lot less likely chance of losing cash. And it is at the stage now where I do need to think about, well, I don't want to leave myself with too many problems that need a lot of money to fix from a completed side. And then there is a world where I would love also to be able to bring in Sarah Goodwin. I thought she looked as good as any young midfielder has this year. She had I think 6 centre clearances, which is one off the record. Now the record is 7 and about 5 people hold it. And yes, it was against the Gold Coast Suns, but I thought that was one of the best performances we'll see, and there was so much accumulation. Looked great playing on that big ground. I would love to be able to try and get her in as well this week. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to make it work. And then the other trade is probably the one that I'm not playing around with. It's Georgie Prespakis up to Jazz Garner. Like, that feels like it has to be done at this stage of the year with the break even for Garner and the score that's leaving going up against the Bombers. In all likelihood, it's a 130, 140. She scores.
Yeah, and you'll get the crack at the VC, obviously, with for those that missed it, Grace Kosh is unfortunately out for the season with an elbow tendon injury, so she'll be out for there and be a red dot for us to be able to loop with. So at least there's a silver lining in that for our fantasy teams at least. Tom, what are you looking at doing with your moves this week?
So I have a lot of issues in my side this week, unfortunately. But I think I will be trading Beckott out. I would have absolutely loved her to like put up a half decent score, but she didn't. So her losing cash kind of makes me 1k short of going Ott, Boyd, and Roberts to Goodwin, Garner, and a 300k. I am 1k short of that trade. So I have two options. Yeah, that's that. It's look, it's not good.
You don't laugh,
and that
you'll cry.
You cry. So I've got two options. I can trade George Pasparkis over Ella Roberts, which is probably what I will do.
Going up against GWS as well.
The other, exactly. The other option is if I want to get rid of Roberts, I can go down from Goodwin to like a Charlie Thomas. But I think I'll just trade for Sparkis instead, and do those trades. It does mean I don't get Lauren Young, which I think is a little bit disappointing. As probably the best rookie, and correct me if anyone's got a different idea, but the best rookie over the next few weeks to make that 200k that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I missed that, which is a little bit disappointing, but I think getting the cash gen from Goodwin will make up for that. And Riddell, not Riddell, Garner, because she's going up to the stars.
Exactly. It's crazy that these Uber premiums are going up heaps in money. Like last week, the amount of premiums that went up 100k, 200k was pretty crazy. This week, my trades, Ascentra's going, which I'm interested to get your boys' thoughts on this, because I think a few people are in this boat where her cash gets you the upgrade you want, and her going, but she got such a low break even still, and she looked great last week. But at the moment, she's going down to Lauren Young. I had an extra mid, so Harrington goes to my M6. Tessa Boyd up to Sarah Goodwin, and Georgie Rasparkas up to Kiara Bowers, bringing her back after trading her, which she has looked like the Kiara Bowers of old last few weeks since trading her, which has been a pity, but I'm glad to be jumping back on. And as Liam said, Sarah Goodwin looked amazing last week, and I think it was the week before, Liam, you were pretty keen on Goodwin. Last week, I was keen on Goodwin. I thought with Randall and Gould out, thought she might be the one to jump in there. And not only did she jump in there, she was probably the best mid in there from the game. But your boys' thoughts on trading Ascentra out to get the cash, man, because her cash gen's been great last couple of weeks, but she's sort of now starting to hit her straps. Can she go, Liam, even though she's got a little bit of cash to make to get these upgrades on field?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you think about it, we're 50% of the way through the season. You see your side is 80 to 90% completed. This is when you cash out of your best rookies. Like, I cashed out of Sierra Greaves last week, and I'm cashing out of Beckott this week. They were both over 650k. Now is the time to be doing. Yes, I know it sucks. Centric's just had 100 plus, but in all reality, that was with a role that wasn't spectacular. She played an incredible game, but I don't think it's reliable. Unless you're desperate and you need to be able to run her on field, then yeah, absolutely, trade her out. If you don't have to, her break even is low enough that, let her ride for another week and get that cash generation. But it's at this time of the year where if that's the cash you need to make 2 upgrades to complete your side, with players that you feel confident are close to top in their line, particularly if it's allowing you to get a top 5 mid, launch straight away.
Yeah, and that's what I think as well, right? If it's 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I would have kept, right? But yeah, with the fact that gets the last rookie off field, I'm of the agreeing viewing there. Tom, you're agreeing as well?
Yeah, I am. We do need to be a little bit careful just with the volatility of prices in AFLW, that we don't lose too much team value with when premiums put up poor scores. or we're going to have to stick fat with these premiums who put up poor scores because we just don't have the cash to re-upgrade them, so to speak. But I don't think that cashing out of Century is the wrong move. I think that's the right move for you this week. Get those 16 premium players and then have some fun for the 5 weeks before the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Carl's got a super chat. Thank you, mate. He's saying, by the way, thanks for telling me to trade out Paxi last week. Oh, good, Carl. And he does have a question just above that, so we'll read that out as well, obviously. But thanks for the super chat, Carl. Hey, guys, I've got Boyd to a 300k rookie and 2 of these 3 options. So option 1 is Ham, Ponta, or Too Good to Barnett. Option 2 is Prosparkus to Bowers, or 3, Heath to Conan or TLR. So, Liam, which option would you go for out of those 3?
It's Prosparkus to Bowers and then Heath to Goodwin. I know it's not an option there, but I would go Goodwin over Conan.
Yeah. What about TLR? Would you go
No,
TLR over Goodwin?
I am not exactly loving. I traded her in last week. And Mackenzie Erdley taking 5 kick-ins really sucked. And she's now in a position where I don't think her price isn't going to get away from you this week.
Yeah,
and you would be locking in a trade first up.
Yeah, I don't mind, especially with Melbourne having Gold Coast this week. I don't mind doing Ham or Too Good to Barnett because Barnett Collingwood have a great run for rooks. I don't mind either of those 2 to Barnett either. Purely because I think both of those will lose cash, especially Montana Ham. With the 2 tough games that come the next 2, I think she could lose 150k over the next 2 weeks. And Barnett has a really nice run. I think will be a top 2 or 3 forward over the next 3 or 4. So I don't mind that trade, but I think we all want Bowers by the end. And if you've got an opportunity to lock her away, if you don't have her, that would be where I go. I'm happy to hold Heath.
Yeah.
And Conan.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a little bit wet. Casey Field thinks showers on and off there, so that could be good for Heath if she's in the midfield. Could get a few tackles there as well. But so we're ticking off paying up for Bowers. Like obviously had a massive score. She's tackling like a mad person. We're all happy to be paying up for Bowers. I certainly am this week, but you guys ticking that off at 1.4 something million.
Yeah, I think it's acceptable.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Doug Fitzpatrick's got an interesting one here. What's your favourite chocolate bar? Bueno Yum, he says. So thanks, Doug. Favourite chocolate bar, boys? What do we got? What do we got for that one?
Mine's a double decker, and you don't get them in this country. But it's a double decker, and if you don't want it, just Google it.
I'll go with cherry ripe.
Ooh.
Oh God!
Yeah,
definitely not.
Dark chocolate and coconut cherry, perfection.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting one. I'm probably just going to be boring to say Mars bar. I like my Mars bars. Just a standard block of dairy milk chocolate. Just
Bales. You started basic with Mars, and yet you somehow outdid yourself with the second option.
If you want to go spicy, the other one I don't mind is I actually like the Chiquitos. Chiquitos are nice, so that'll be another one that I do like. But that's more there. But I'll go Mars bar as my favorite one. What do we got here? Red Lighting's got a question. Actually, no. Before we get into questions, because we do have the man that does Captain's Corner. What have we got for captains this week, Liam? I'm assuming it's one of the Essendon girls. Sorry, one of the North girls against Essendon.
It's Garner and Riddell 1 and 2, then Noffy, then Bowers. Then I had Kate Hoare just beating out like a host of other options, including Matilda Schultz.
Yeah, fully agree. So I'm assuming with Grace Kosh there, it's a VC, Garner, or Riddell into Noffy for you?
Yep, Noffy or Bowers. I'm yet to decide who exactly I want. It might be a little bit of a vibe-based approach. I think they're both pretty close. with what they could put up this week. Noffy has the more difficult matchup.
Yeah. Yep. On the same, Gunner into Noffy. Tom?
Yeah. I think that's just the obvious. I might throw it on Riddell just for a bit of have a throw at the dice from 450 rank and just try and see if Riddell puts up 20 more points. But it's going to be a North Garlington Noffy.
Yep, I agree as well. I think that is the normal play that a lot of people will go with. But Red Lighting, I will get to your question there. Apologies for that. So Red Lighting. So I have a choice to go Centra, Too Good, and Georgia Stathis out to Malloy, Watson, or TLR and Kavanagh. So I think all three of those can trade out. But Tom, I wonder what your thought. I don't know if I'd be trading into Malloy. It's the only one just with Adelaide and North.
I'm not trading into Malloy. I prefer Barnett's probably my choice of forwards this week. Just with the ruck run for Collingwood, I think it's very good. I definitely don't mind a Zanka or a Harris. I also wouldn't be paying up for Watson or TLR either. I'd be going Goodwin.
I certainly wouldn't be paying up that much for Watson, just with her price now being over $1 million.
Yeah, over $1 million. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Goodwin's the one. Yeah. So yeah, if it's it's
good. Goodwin or cheaper, I think. You're gonna thank yourself next week or the week after for saving that cash.
Yeah, so just adjust to Barnett, Goodwin, and then Kavanagh, and I think we're ticking those off there. I think one of the is it Banfield?
Matilda Banfield.
Matilda Banfield's probably I'd probably go there over Kavanagh if you've got flexibility. Lauren Young, or even Sinead Davison's probably the play there. Someone that we didn't speak about, but I heard you speaking about Liam on free kick. That could be someone to be looking at in the forward line. Redlining saying all hold Centra, trading Wrench to a defender 350k or below. So that'd be Lewfield, I'm assuming. Too Good to Malloy, and then George South's a good one. Well, if you could hold Centra and you could do Wrench to Lewfield, Too Good to Barnett, and George South's a good one, lock those in. Do those trades.
What's Malloy priced at now? Is
it $890? I think
it's she's dipped below 900k for the first time.
893.
That might be super close. That might be super close in cash. But if your cash fits, then
if you can't do Barnett, I'd be happy to get like a Wardlaw type for a week, for a couple of weeks, and do that, and then keep Centra because you might get a bit more cash in there. I think that could be a definite play you could be looking at for sure.
I mean the Melbourne girls have such a nice run. They've got Gold Coast into a very, very average Essendon team, into a average Freo side, into a collapsing Sydney side. And then it gets tough.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not too late on that trade. Do you know who I also don't mind this week? Tess Craven, if you need something a bit cheaper, 760k. Really enjoyed the role improvement last week. Essendon this week, it would only be a couple of week play, and you kind of have to look at injury reports. But with Bresnahan out for the year, Taylor get out for a few weeks, that improved more designated kicker role for Tess Craven, starting on a wing, dropping back into the back 50 to get a hell of a lot of plus sixes, could also be a nice, slightly cheaper play with some sugar hit and the cash going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think the only change North will make is it'll be Vicky Wall coming in for... Who got injured from North on the weekend? Someone get injured from North?
Alice O'Loughlin.
Yeah, sorry, Alice O'Loughlin.
Lacerated kidney, liver.
Liver. Horrible sounding injury.
Yeah,
Finn McGuinness, I think, did that for Hawthorn, and he wasn't seen for the rest of the year. So this could be something that might be a fairly... Well, it's obviously a big injury, but it could be something that maybe she might be back till very late, if not at all, this year, which is unfortunate for North Melbourne. But yeah, Tom, yeah.
It's okay. They could just bring in another elite forward to replace the elite forward that's gone out.
I know they are a very, very good team. That is for sure. Lee Everett says, "Hey boys, could you do these trades?" So going Levy down to Lauren Young. There we go, Tom. There was someone that jumped on the Levy train last week. She'll be my F5, and that allows me to go Prosparkus at M5 up to Gardner and Paxi up to Goodwin. So, Liam, what are your thoughts about putting? I know that I think Will brought on Lauren Young at F5 last week. Could you do that if it allows you to get Gardner and then go Paxi up to Goodwin?
No, I wouldn't be doing that. I would be finding a way to pick someone cheaper than Gardner, who I think is basically averaging at her price stat. I don't trust the time on ground at the very least, particularly playing for a coach like Lauren Arnell in Lauren Young. And I know that her role improved a little bit, but she was spending most of the first half as the deepest forward on the ground. I don't trust her nearly enough to start her, particularly this year, because as we kind of talked about on the pod this week, some of the kind of third and fourth midfielder points have kind of spread to the half forwards, meaning that our forward scoring is now predominantly over 70. And so that 50, 55 that you now get from a rookie at F5 is 20 points worse than what our near complete side is. That's not a delta that I like, particularly when the difference between Gardner and Ali Anderson, for example, isn't 20 points, most likely. Or at the very least, is more cash than you'd have to save.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think you can hold Levy another week. It is West Coast. Break even still in the 30s. I still think you can hold that for another week, gain another 50k there, even with a 50 or a 55. It's the same 50 or 55. You're going to get max from Young and do your trades around that and deal with it next week if you have someone else you can use as your cash.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, that's something as well you could just hold for a weekend. Or if not, as Liam just said there, Ali Anderson. If Prospargus down Anderson's the cash you need to do those trades, then maybe you do that. But Paxi, a good one, I think, as we said before, is a trade that you can definitely do.
I've got a question. Yeah. I've got a question for you two. As a Paxi owner, is Paxi a must trade this week? I have Paxi, and she's not currently in my trade plans. Priced at 708k, break even of 82. Plays Gold Coast.
What's your bench health like?
After this week, I have Annabelle Johnson ticking by. Really upset. I was going real well for 3 quarters last week.
Nothing.
Apart from that, and then -3 in the last quarter, which didn't help. Apart from that, it's Piper Dunlop, Ash Reedy, and whoever I bring in with Grace Koch. So it's not ideal. It's one of those, but I'm also ranked at 4, 6, 7. I still want to try and win a hat. I feel like I've got to take a little risk. And I think my risk.
You're still at 6 weeks.
But I feel like I've got to take a little risk here. That I think if I can hold Paxi, she might lose and I've got to basically commit for her next 2. So next 2 are decent. Or their next 2, sorry, are decent in Gold Coast and Essendon and Freo, the next 3. Is basically just write them off for the next 3 weeks, pray they average 70, get the cash back, and then move them on.
The problem you've got is that the return of Shanae Goldrick, and then also the addition of Talia Gillard means that Maeve Chaplin is just kind of roaming around everywhere. It just really dampens the point scoring locations on the ground for Paxi. Like that's the main issue that I have. Like we all kind of bought in like a lot, and I didn't end up starting her, but I was fully bought into her being a good pick to start the year based on what I saw in that practice match against Adelaide and how deep she was dropping inside D50. to pick up
They were
cheap
great.
+6s. And even in the game, say, against Collingwood, she was still able to feel like she was constantly on the hot wing. And that's in part because there wasn't that many of those kind of halfbacks streaming through. It was your Rigonis. It was Siren Taylor. Like, you're not worried about any halfback pushing up with much confidence. It was always Paxi who was there for it. With all those defenders and players that are back now for Melbourne, like, I think she is quite close to a priority. When you also add in that, if we've already seen now, if Melbourne are up big, they'll sit on the bench towards the end of the game.
Yeah. But then I've got Tessa Boyd, which I think I've got to trade. I feel like I've got to get Garner this week.
You could. I think there's a case to be made that Tessa Boyd is an easier hold than Paxi.
What is Boyd? Right. I've not done. What's Boyd's break even?
There you go. I don't know what Boyd's break even is.
56.
Do you remember what Libby Birch scored against Essendon in the practice match?
She got a ton. I think
112 or something.
What was it? Had 10 marks.
And we've seen North Melbourne in the last quarters when they're up. They do that chippy around the back, and all those defenders like Birch.
Boyd's role was fine last week. The ball just got kicked over her head.
Oh, she got the Blaine Bogue experience. I know.
The ball just got kicked over her head. It was all the back line of the back line getting all the +6s, and the half back never saw it.
Well, except Eric O'Shea, but let's not go there.
Let's not. And I suppose trading Paxi over Boyd would allow me to trade Roberts over Prasparkis. I still think Prasparkis is better than Roberts, rightly or wrongly. And I think the runs are fairly similar. Am I right in saying that?
Roberts with GWS this week.
Yeah. You
have a real conundrum. This is not turned into a Kirsten and Hedger pod. This is a Tom's.
This is
question.
Tom's therapy. Therapy. But I think it's going to help a lot of people. People with more than one, with a Paxi issue, with a Boyd issue, and wanting to get Garner. I think that will help a lot of people. Like people like Georgia Stathis and Boyd, Paxi and Georgia Stathis. I think getting Garner is the priority. I think Garner is someone who can absolutely
make 100K this week.
Well, it's not even that. Just take your season in points away. I think that Garner could be 125 for the rest of the year without breaking sweat, and the player I'm trading out is 105, maybe 105. So that's 25 points. I don't think the player I'm going to be bringing in for Boyd or Paxi is going to be 25 points more than them, especially with the amount of injuries around. I think I've got to hold Boyd and just pray Boyd's worth more than Paxi is next week. I think it's the right thing to do.
Boyd still got to 39 even when the ball got kicked overhead a lot.
And that's more than what Paxi scored.
It is. Thank you, gents. I'll get back onto the viewer questions now. Tom's trade triple T. Tom's trade therapy is now over. Thank you very much.
That'll be $603. Do you have your Medicare card with you?
I don't have Medicare. I am a foreigner, so sorry.
Oh well, it's now $10,003. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules.
Good one. I like that one. Elijah's got this question. Tom, I'll go to you for this one. Is it Too Good and Heath or Boyd and Ham to Barnett and Goodwin? Can't do much else if I hold Central for another week. So is it Too Good and Heath or Boyd and Ham to Barnett and Goodwin? Because Liam was mentioning as well with those Melbourne ins, Heath also got affected with that. It was a little bit in defence as well. So I'm hoping with a little bit of showers around that she'll go into the mid.
Yeah, I had the Melbourne CBAs up in front of me.
32%, 33%.
Yeah. Fitzsimon got the bump. To be fair, they spread it around. There was so many players who got a deep.
And Maeve Chaplin.
Maeve Chaplin 35,
That was
Heath
a spot,
29,
that one.
Fitzsimon 53. The only mainstay was Kate Hall. Even Tyler Hanks had a little reduction.
I guess I wish it was one of those ones where I wish we actually could break it down by quarter, but the AFLW app does not have that capacity yet.
And neither does DFS.
No, and in general, the AFL or AFLW doesn't time code their CBAs, which is very frustrating. But I think it would be it might be worthwhile going back and watching some of the highlights
quarter.
from the. Well, I know that from the first quarter it was Heath and Chaplin who were swapping, and then I feel like Fitzsimon I saw more through the middle of the game. I don't remember at what point Hanks spent less time in the middle. Yeah,
it might just Hanks might have just been a rotation thing where she just was on the bench for a few CBAs in a row. That means the percentage dropped.
Yeah, it's just one where I wish I would probably need to go back and watch and find what they were doing towards the end of the game, because they were absolutely dominating by the end of that game against West Coast.
I think I'm holding Heath. I think I'm holding Heath just because it's Gold Coast, and I think Gold Coast are all right for whether she. I think she'll score all right this week either way.
So
and then we can reassess next week.
So
I think I'm putting Ham. I think Too Good's run for the next three the next two after this week is okay. It's obviously really hard, but we have seen in the last couple of weeks when Essendon are getting smacked, Too Good does make a way up the ground. She does get around the ball. I think she might even just start as an extra back this week. Go from there. Try and keep it respectable. I think there's a decent chance Too Good could score okay this week. Not 100 plus, but okay.
I think it's a case of if you have the capacity to get a first up look, if you have a red dot forward at Too Good, then yeah, sure. Ham and Boyd, I know, and we haven't had much of a discussion about what the magnets that have been flicked around at Sydney in the midfield in the last 2 weeks.
Get me started.
And it was fascinating to hear, and I can't remember which podcast, AFLW podcast it was, that there's this perception that the Sydney game plan is easy to beat. It's a very much you beat their kicking game and then they kind of all falls to pieces. And I don't know if Scott Gowans knows what his counterpunch is yet. It's just random midfield mix changes. So I kind of understand the Ham trade out, but ultimately I think that I would prefer to trade out Too Good and Heath. I see many more worlds where Too Good scores a 40 and a 50 back-to-back than, trying. And I also think that Heath's role may drift back to more towards what she's done in previous years, which it's a 20 to 30% midfield role and then some time spent running off half-back. And the problem there is Shanae Goldrick is a madwoman for kickball long straight, no look sideways for pass. It was great when we had her in her team. It was just a funnel for kicks, but it's not great when you're relying on those lateral pulls off halfback. So I think it's Too Good in Heath, but maybe if you can get a second look at Too Good, because I think it's relatively close, maybe then you preference the other trade outs.
One thing, going to Sydney's CBAs for Ham, it's actually not really changed much this season. I think it's just the secondary role is now deep forward, out of the way, rather than even when not in the CBA. I feel like early in the season they were pushing up at least some of the time to be the extra mid as a high half forward and not just stand in the goal square, chat to the goal umpire and pray the ball gets down there.
I also just feel like they're happening more in clumps. So beginning of the season, it felt like the split was relatively even quarter to quarter. It has felt like in the last couple of weeks, it's all right, a quarter of Ham all midfield. And then second quarter, she's now playing all forward. Or it's we're going to get 6 CBAs in a row of Chloe Malloy and that's it. And so then Ham's gone forward as a result.
Yeah. And Sydney are losing, so the ball's not down their forward end as much. So we're not getting the additional scoring when not in the midfield. because the ball's just down the other end.
Yeah, and Ham is great at stoppages. I would just call her a good mark. Like, I would not call her anything that, like, in the way that Bonnie
She's
can just
tall.
like vacuum in 6 or 7
Yeah.
in a game where she's getting marked pretty strongly. Caitlin Gould the same. I just don't know if Ham does quite the same. So yeah, it's a little bit of downside with that kind of midfield variability, but I think the matchup this week is fine. Matchup next week, okay, yeah, then we can have a conversation. That could be pretty dire.
Yeah. Dylan James, Bales, are you doing a watch on for the grand final? Probably not at this stage. I probably just want to relax and watch it this year. But who knows? I might do one. We'll just have to see. Sean Wennell is saying here. So, Tom, have you got something to say to Sean as well?
Sorry, Sean. Sorry, Sean.
And then, Liam, if you did miss it, Sean was the one that was going to bring in Dana Finn 3 weeks ago, and Tom said,
Don't worry.
no.
I think that Tom is completely justified. You do not give advice on a fantasy podcast based on Black Swan event wins. You play proper strategy and you go, don't pick Dana Finn because it is a highly variable role. She wasn't cheap enough to feel comfortable about it. And it has just so happened that she's just suddenly become more important to Carlton's game plan. I don't think you can identify one trait or one thing that has shifted. Like, it would be bad process, incredible result.
Yeah.
To bring Dana Finn in.
It
would just be you're looking at scores. You'd just be looking at scores and go, oh, she's scoring well.
In the same way that I've never considered for a second bringing in Michaela Bowen. She's been an incredible scorer this year so far. It's just like it is one that is too hard to predict up front. Whereas, and if she was at 450k when she started the season as a midfielder, we can have a conversation because then you're in the, Aaron Fitzpatrick areas where you just go, I just think they'll be that good that she'll somehow find a way to score. She'll be that important to them. Dana Finn wasn't in the same boat. So don't get too disappointed with yourself for not picking her. I think it is completely fine and understandable. If this keeps happening year on year where we have like 3 or 4 wings who continue to kind of get to that 90+ mark, then we start to have a data set where you go, well, what are they doing differently? But in the interim, you're just throwing darts at a board of, oh, they scored big this week. Will they do it again? Like, that's not good fantasy process.
Or it's just maybe we just pick every Carlton rookie that's around the midfield because
I did hear that, and I did think when hearing that, it's like, yep, it's gone. Mimi Hill, Abby Mackay, Kelly Shearer, Maddie Gearin, and now Dana Finn. There's no midfield spots left.
Yeah.
Like unless there's another wing that they somehow have 6 midfielders rolling around. Yeah, exactly. It's the bench.
Is Sophie Mackay going to come upfield going to play up the ground next year, and that's the.
Don't even get me started on Carlton's list build. Like, why would you take Lila Keck in the draft when you already had picked Ronnie Fitzpatrick and you knew you had Sophie Mackay coming in as a father-daughter pick?
Absolute gun, by the way.
Pardon?
Mackay's elite.
Oh, she looks like she could have, she's got the hops. But, why are Carlton picking 3 forwards to play the same role across 3 years when they knew they were getting the last one?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's just the beginning of my rant. We'll leave it for offline.
But Sean's question this week, Liam, is it worth bringing in Anderson for a 1 or 2 week play, or just do a downgrade on the bench and do a couple of upgrades next week? So I'm assuming it's probably like a Georgie Prasparkas to Ali Anderson or someone of that mold. What are your thoughts about Anderson? She's under 1.1 still. Good match against Richmond this week. I don't personally love the Gold Coast matchup next week, so I think Singer will go to her next week, but she might sort of score. But another thing, they've got Essendon after that, and then Freo.
Port Adelaide, then Essendon, then Melbourne.
Okay, yep, sorry, my bad. But
I'm completely okay with it if it's to triage to fix big issues in the rest of your team. I think that's the type of player that you take a bet on, given their pedigree. She's been I think it was 102 103 average effectively, or around that for the last 2 seasons. She has variance. She is a 70 to 110 kind of 115 type of player, but you're not going to, I just don't feel like you're going to get a 40 or a 50 on someone maybe a little cheaper with a little bit less pedigree. So I think it's totally okay.
Well, Charlie Rowbottom over, and would you go her over Anderson?
Oh.
Good score last week, but is that just due to the Crows loving that contested stoppage sort of game, and that maybe Brisbane this week is not great?
What is she priced at is the question.
I would probably prefer Anderson on my point from my side, purely because Adelaide
100K more expensive.
Yeah, Adelaide gave Rowbottom the freedom of People's Fair Stadium. Like, no one went within about 15 metres of her. It was a full Matilda Schultz treatment. Like, just
no, nothing will be worse than that. Oh, get me that's going to open up old scars.
Yeah, no, and that's just never not going to happen for the rest of the year. Like, she's going to get some attention. I think I'm going for the cheaper one, and the run is way worse for Gold Coast, I believe.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
So I think I'm going cheaper, better run, and I see him averaging fairly similar, if not Anderson a bit more.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd go for Anderson as well. Bartlow's got Nick. Actually, no, we do have a super chat here that just popped through from Sean. Thank you, mate. He is asking Tom, hey boys, which one of the 3 trades would you go? So would you go Heath to Goodwin or TLR? I think we said before we go Goodwin out of the 2. So is it Heath to Goodwin, Hoare to Bowers, or Too Good to Malloy, Hodder, Zanker? So I think we'll cross out Malloy just because she's dropping in price with tough matchups. So Hodder or Zanker is the forward. Which of the 3 would you go?
Ooh. I would go Hoare to Bowers. I'm not a Hoare believer, though.
Yeah. I'll probably as well just because it's Bowers you're getting in, and she's looking very, very good. But,
Freo have the best run for mids the rest of the season.
What Freo do? You said? Yeah. So that's maybe it is Hoare to Bowers, and you think that we're talking about single for Anderson next week. You think single's probably going to go to him, to her this week. So that would be my concern.
Oh, sorry,
there. But
second best for Brisbane, but one of the best 2.
Yeah. I think Hoare Bowers, I think Sean would be doing that one there. But it is unfortunately come time that Liam does have to jump off. But we are very gracious of him giving his time on a Wednesday night and jumping on with us. So Liam, thank you very much for jumping on with us, mate. Any final thoughts or anything? And obviously, where can people find you across socials? So I'm sure everyone listens to Free Kick already. But if they don't, where can they find that as well?
Yeah, it's Free Kick W Pod across all socials, all of your podcast feeds, and I'm at Liam AFLW Fantasy. Yeah, parting thoughts, parting wisdom. I will just say, reminder, obviously, Thursday game tomorrow night, the first time we actually need to think about early timing. So Free Kick will be doing our on-air recording at 6:10, starting at 6:10 tomorrow. So, yeah, we'll be in a spot where we'll be able to help hopefully guide people, but definitely keep that in mind with all your trades.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, thank you very much, mate. We'll be listening in tomorrow night, but thanks for tuning in. And Eloise making a small cameo on the pod, but thanks for jumping on, mate, and have a good weekend and enjoy the footy this week.
Likewise, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Liam.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you to Liam there. We'll answer some questions.
Get the top 100 coaches off the pod. But we don't need those.
Oh, that's funny. What do we got here? And for those who don't know, both Liam and Eloise are both currently sitting inside the top 100, along with Jono. So hopefully we can both join them very, very soon in that top 100.
2026.
No, mate. Well, I'm sure you'll get there this year. What do we got? So we've got some other questions. So we've got Andrew Domahidi says, thoughts on Rowan Fitzpatrick to Amy Smith and Sarade Taylor to Jess Wrench and Jack DePie to Brooke Boiler. I probably wouldn't be doing those, Andrew, just because Amy Smith had a pop score already. Jess Wrench people are trading out of at this point, and I don't think I'd be bringing it. Boiler's been good for the Crows, but probably not an option I'd be looking at this year. So probably just be adjusting those there, Andrew. Ghost Bake says, which option is best? So option 1, Paxman to Thomas with 100K in the bank. 2, Wardlaw to Barnett with 100K in the bank. I wouldn't be doing that trade. I'll cross it off. Bunt's good option, but Wardlaw I'll be holding. 3, Hoare to Riddell, no money in the bank. Or 4, Hoare to Anderson for cash gen, lean towards 3. I'm 3.
I'm 3.
One's also good. I do like 1, Paxman to Thomas as well, but I think I'm more
just
Riddell.
want to have a look at Riddell's break even. It's 128. You know what I'd do? I'd probably do Paxman to Goodwin.
Yeah, you'd be able to do that. Yeah, because you're 100K in the bank with Thomas. Yeah, to Paxman a good one.
Yeah, I think you can, because I think the difference between Hoare and Riddell are going to be fairly similar next week. And I know it's a really good matchup for Riddell, but I think you're going to want to get off, as the chat about my team, I think you're going to want to get off Paxman because you might get stuck with Paxman. I don't think you'll ever be stuck with Hoare. So I think you can hold Hoare, trade Paxman to Goodwin. You're going to get the cash from Goodwin, because you'll probably be able to do Goodwin to like TLR next week for free. Might even gain cash. So I think I would do that trade if I was in your situation, Ghostbakes. But I'm happy if you want Riddell. If you don't want that FOMO, you can just go and get Riddell. Absolutely nothing wrong with that as well.
I'm leaning towards number 3, but that's if you've got some cash gen on your bench that you can downgrade to trade Paxi up next week. I'd do that. But if you've got no cash gen, if you've got 300K rugs on your bench, you might have a Piper Dunlop and that's about it, then I'd be probably doing Paxi to Goodwin, and then you can go Hoare to another midfielder next week and hope that Riddell drops a little bit in price. But Ghostbakes was saying, think Paxman just had an off game like Watson also versus West Coast in round 3. Don't like trading Hoare with a good matchup, but it is the best way to get Riddell. But as Liam said, with Paxi, though, those changes have probably changed her role in-game a little bit more. And, obviously Hoare's got a good matchup, but, single tag, I think, will definitely be going that way this week.
Their break even is higher than they've scored all season, and they average less than 7 in quarter 4s. And we've had a 6-game sample size. They've scored. Marinoff scored more in the fourth quarter this week than Paxi has in fourth quarters all season by 20 points.
It concerns me as well that you've had that much time to think of that stat, and you've been waiting that there. So that's a good one. But what's like Goodwin's break even's low as well. Like that would be in the probably 40s or 50s.
Goodwin's break even. Sarah Goodwin 35.
Oh, there you go.
If Sarah Goodwin goes 75, she will make approximately 100K.
Yeah, and we think that she could be a top 5 defender with this role. So and I think it's
and even if not, you're going to get that cash gen. So if she loses a role and puts a 50 or a 60 out next week after that, she's not going to lose in. Well, you're not going to be losing cash. If Paxi puts out a 40, she's going to be under 600K probably, and is like, you're stuck. There's no one you can go up to. So I think you get off now. Unfortunately, if you've got 2 of them like I do, you're just stuck. But hopefully your team's in a better place than mine is at the minute.
Yeah. Red Lighting said, so I repeat my option as I forgot about Garner. So I can trade Centra down to Kavanagh, which allows me to trade 2 of Prasparkas to Garner, Georgia Stathis to Watson, TLR, or Too Good to Malloy. So, if you don't have Garner, Garner's the priority. So if you trade Centra down to, I'd be going Banfield from Freo over Kavanagh, if you can do that. And then if it allows you to get 2 of, so I'd be Prasparkas to Garner, Georgia Stathis to Goodwin. That would be what I'd be doing. If you've already got Goodwin, for example, TLR is a little bit of value there, but I do like Watson, but she's more expensive, and we think TLR is probably going to be a number 1 or 2 defender, so maybe go TLR out of the 2 for this week. But Georgia Stathis has got to go, so I'll be doing those. But Goodwin's the pick.
I still do Goodwin. I still go Goodwin always. Not always. Saying
I'd go for that. But because I know DC jumped on good last week, which you mentioned on Sunday, so he'd be very happy jumping on that, and everyone now talking about Goodwin bringing in, and DC's like, I don't have to bring in Goodwin anymore because I already got it. Next question is from Connor van der Ploeg, says, is it better to simply trade Too Good out or trade in a red dot to loop with Lauren Young for next fortnight with Too Good to run? Well, Connor, it just depends what the rest of your team's looking like. If you've already got Grace Kosh, she's your red dot, right? But like, if you can do other trades and go Too Good to another option you want instead, you can do that. If you've got a third trade and you can't do anything with it, you could look at a red dot. I just don't think Lauren Young's ceiling is enough to warrant a red dot to look into. If you don't want Too Good for next fortnight, I would just trade Too Good out. Just go get Walker, or go get Zane Harris, Barnett, whoever.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong about Lauren Young, but I just see her as a 45 to 55 player, which is good fine for cash in,
but not on field.
So think of kind of like a Jess Wrench after round one. That's kind of the scoring we're expecting. She'll get to 600k eventually, but it's going to be 48s and 52s and 40s. Might even be the odd 20 in there when the ball just doesn't, as we saw in the first quarter, playing forward. So, and I could be wrong. She could be elite, but I don't think you can be planning to have her on field, especially in the back half of the year.
Yeah. I feel like we're almost doing the therapy session well for red lighting, because another question here. He's saying that they're saying here that they can go wrench down to Lulu Field, and that gets Georgia Stars up to Goodwin from Sparks to Garner. Yep, done.
Yeah, just do it.
Do those ones. And you keep Centra as well, which is great. So you don't have to worry about trading, and you trade it next week. So, yep, I'd be locking those ones in.
You can hold Too Good this week. Like, perfect world, you might not want her against North Melbourne, but there's a high chance she goes behind the ball and she might get some intercept marks. She might even go on ball and might be able to get up to that 55, 60, which is just, it's not ideal, but it's definitely acceptable at F5.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be, like, you may as well just hold.
Yeah. And then Connor van der Ploeg on top of that question you asked about forward Too Good was saying, going to go Boyd up to Goodwin, which is definitely a tick from us, by downgrading Paige Scott from their cash gen. Yep. That's also a very good trade as well. Final trade is Too Good a must trade with their run, or could we bring in a red dot that we're on? So as we said, we'd probably would just trade Too Good if you're wanting to if you don't want to trade her, but if you want to hold her, I wouldn't be bringing in a red dot to loop with Lauren Young. Yeah. It's probably not worth it for me. So do you hold Too Good and do another trade, or you trade Too Good to a forward that you want? Like, I reckon that would be what I'd be doing. Gone Mad says, if Chelsea Randall comes in this week, will Hatchard go back to more time in the middle? Hatchard's always gone well against Brisbane. But I don't think they're playing Sydney this week for Crows. But with Hatchard, possibly, as I know Tom was just about to say there. My worry, though, is with Gould being out, even if Chelsea Renner comes back in, and then you got Daniel Ponta, Crows still need another target down there. And with Gould being out, Hatchard's got that presence down forward, and they've got Sarah Goodwin to come in for Hatchard in the midfield. I wouldn't be trading in Hatchard, put it that way. If you've got her, you could hold. You don't have to trade. But she was on track for a pretty poor score last week. She had a 91-point second half with 3 goals in the last quarter, so that helped. So I wouldn't be trading her in. You don't have to trade her out. But if you don't have like a Garner, Hatchard to Garner could be a pretty nice trade. Yeah. So if that was something you're looking at there this week. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with
Yeah, there was also, they improved so much when Hatchard went forward.
Yeah,
like they did when Hatchard went forward,
they kicked all those goals.
Hatchard looked like Adelaide looked at they put Pontus speed into the midfield in that final quarter, moved Hatchard up forward as a taller target, and it just clicked.
Yeah,
like that's I worry that they might give that a go for a couple of weeks, Adelaide, because I feel like Adelaide are trying to find something in the next few weeks before finals. And that could be Hatchard forward. Yeah. So I probably would be trading Hatchard, probably to Garner if possible.
Yeah. Agree. And Gourmet said also, is Conti a must trade? She just won around the packs last week.
Yes.
I think she'll bounce back from a 54. She's not going to be that bad, but she's pretty close to a must trade. Not because of her, because I think she's great. Obviously, one of the best players in the comp, right? But her run is very bad for the next few weeks. So this week she goes Brisbane. I think she can go okay against Brisbane, but the break-even's high and lose cash, because then after that, she goes into Adelaide, then into North Melbourne. which is not great. So after that, she goes She has a really good end to the year. So she goes Collingwood, Freo, and then Gold Coast. So we're all going to have her probably for the last 3 weeks. But for the next 3 weeks, it's not awful, right? She's probably still going to score okay against Brisbane and Adelaide and North because she's not going to get tagged, right? But you can get a player like a Garner, Riddell if you don't have her. If you don't have Noffy, that's obviously one you got to bring in as well. And Bowers, like you want those players the next few weeks. So yeah, I would be trading if you can, but you don't. It's like not must just yet, but I'd be liking a trade because she's going to lose cash. Doug Fitzpatrick said Ham hurt herself in a tackle after that seemed a bit off. Yeah, that could be very much what the case was there. So interesting. So hopefully she can go well this week. I've got a couple minutes to go before we wrap up. So rapid fire through these last couple. We've got a couple here, Tom. So XD Rippo says, hey, fellas, I don't really have many issues in my team. My last trade, should I trade Heath or Conan or just have a rookie like Reedy to Kavanagh or something? No one's talking about Charlotte Simpson. There goes my secret cash generator. Well, there you go. But yeah, like Heath or Conan out or just go rookie?
I could try. I'm not on the trade Conan. I never have owned Conan, but I'm like, Conan's been absolutely fine, and
Just
Brisbane have got a great run. I could get behind trading. I don't see the point in trading that rookie spot. If you do Heath, if you've got the cash for that, then yeah, do Heath to Goodwin. I don't see the point in doing that bench trade because, as we saw, if you'd have said that question last week, you would have said Reedy was infinitely better than Kavanagh, and the scores swapped. Not quite as bad as Reedy's 3, but like you get my point.
Yeah, it's like you have a rookie that's going well for cash, and all of a sudden the week after they're almost dead spot, like they're losing cash all of a sudden. So it's that one. Oh, if you can go Conan to Goodwin, I'd still consider that if you don't have the cash to go Heath up. But yeah, I'd be doing that trade over the bench one. That's for sure. What do we got here? Andrew Domhedy, Buzz, you going to the grand final. I wish I was. And I wish it was the Crows playing. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Hopefully, very, very soon. Sean Wenner, what's the best midfielder to grab for a 2-week play for Roberts under 1.3? Under 1.3, I think, well, we mentioned obviously Ali Anderson's a good one that she's obviously got a good run coming up. I just wonder if Single goes to her next week. That's probably my one worry there. Under that, obviously we mentioned Rowbottom, but the run's not great. I don't hate the idea of like Britt
Kate Hall.
Kate Hall could be an option. I don't mind Britt Benici as a play. What's her run? So Britt Benici goes the Dogs this week. Then she goes into West Coast.
Good run to be fair for a lot of the rest of the year for Collingwood. Yeah.
You know, I'd probably go Britt Benici to be fair out of those. I don't know if would you go Britt Benici over Ali Anderson? I'd consider it because Anderson would be good this way, but next week I think Single will go to her.
Toss up. Whatever floats your boat. I definitely don't mind a Kate Hall this week.
Yeah. Single probably goes to her as well, but if she does, Hall probably just goes forward and probably kicks a number of goals. So, yeah, probably one of Anderson.
I don't mind I don't mind an Ash McCarthy. Freo got a nice run for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's another good one. Yep. And if you're in that mold as well, I think Gabby Newton's also cheaper as well. So, yep, one of those you can definitely look at. That's for sure. XD Rippo said, guys, I'm also ranked 14th, which is surprising. Well, mate, congrats on being fourth.
Definitely do that. I do Heath a Goodwin if I can. If I was 14.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, agreed.
I wouldn't be wasting a trade if I was 14. I'd be being aggressive.
Yeah. Gorn Med said, thinking of going Conti to Bowers, Boyd to Carney, and then Centra to Patterson. Yeah, tick for me. Yeah, those. Yeah. Instead of Patterson, though, maybe get Young if you can. If you can't get Young, and you can get like a band.
Would you be getting Carney? I'd get Goodwin over Carney.
I'd agree. I'd get Goodwin over Carney as well. But if you've got Goodwin already, I think Carney against Essendon could go quite big. So, but then again, she might rest the last quarter by a bit, right? So, like Charlie Thomas is an option there as well. But there's not a lot of defenders under 800K that you're going, they're going to be like a real strong option. A lot of them are now over 800. Like you're looking at all the options there. So Carney might be the cheapest one that Gone Mad wants, but Goodwin's the one. If you don't have Goodwin, get Goodwin. That'd be where I'd be going. Bartlow says, "Hey guys, think you missed my question before, but was wanting your thoughts on Paxi and Boyd to Oh no, we've answered that one before, Bartlow. We said that with your question that we would go Paxi and Boyd to TLR and Goodwin.
Watson,
I think.
TLR and Goodwin.
Yeah, Goodwin definitely, and then TLR. I think I'd go over Watson just for the cash, because I like both.
This young loop, you're like, who plays first out of those games?
Too Good does. Too Good plays first.
Yeah,
so
that line's got to be like 40, 45. If you're going for young over Too Good, you've got to be hoping. You've got to be 45. He's got to be a line. Like, don't get too tricky with that loop.
Yeah, exactly.
Is my advice. I could be wrong, but I think if you're not taking a 55 from Too Good, I think you might be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Redlining says, I tried to keep deleting messages before, but didn't work. So sorry for the question spam. All good, mate. All good. No, happy to answer. That's what we're here for, answering all your questions. We've got final couple here. What do we got? So Sniff says, brought in Gervin last week. Best trade-in ever. There you go. We got someone that traded in Gervin. Well, Tom mentioned
40,
there, and
46 points better than his second best fantasy score ever.
Yeah. So take that cash, and you obviously ride it, right? That's great, right? You ride it, but obviously don't play on field or anything like that. We're not doing that. Also, Stone to Young, an all right option. We'll need to field Young for 1 week before upgrading or primo. I don't love that, because Hipwell's also out this week. Well, out for the season. So Stone might see an increase in CBS. I wouldn't want to go Stone down to Young and then field Young for a week. I'd rather just hold Stone for an extra week and then get Young on your bench and then upgrade Stone to a premium next week.
Yeah.
Because
how are you going to have the cash to do? How are you going to have the cash to do Young to a primo unless your bench is like infinitely better than mine?
Yeah, and then if you get forced trades, you can't do it. It's like, I'll just keep Stone, get Young on your bench, and do it that way. That's what I'd be doing there. Because Stone still scored a 50 odd in 40% game time, so she's still got the points per minute. And I think with Hipwell out, she'll see that little bump in time on ground and CBS as well.
She might make 60% tog.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy. And then final one here, Calum Fife is asking, trade Hanks to row bottom or anyone 1.288 million, or Bogue to Hodder or Craven. Eston this week for Craven. So Hanks to row bottom or Bogue to Hodder or Craven. Where would you go? Because Hanks has got Gold Coast this week. She's dropping cash, but she's got Gold Coast, where I don't think she'll get tagged. So I'm almost leaning to Bogue to probably Hodder.
What are you like on Hodder? Hodder is the aggressive play if she maintains her role.
Yeah, I think I like Hodder more for her run. Her nets 5 or so or 4 are really good, and she'll make a little bit of cash for you. And I think Bo, because Bo has got a good matchup, right? But she's a rookie at the end of the day. She might score 70. She might score a 30. Like, obviously, she scored 19 last week. So Hanks has got Gold Coast. I just think Hanks will actually go all right in this matchup. And Robom's no guarantee to go massive either. So I'd get the upgrade, and then Hanks can go next week if you wish. But she's got Essence, so she might actually go okay. Cool. Alrighty. Well, that is us wrapped up here for another pod. So, Tom, for those that missed before, what were your trades in your VCC?
So, my trades are Prasparkis, Paxman, and Ott out. Garner, Goodwin, and Lauren Young in. And my C and VC is Jazz Garner with the V into Ebony Marinoff with the C.
Not Riddell? I thought you said you were looking at Riddell.
Yeah, I might. That might be Riddell. I'm kind of like, do I just toe the line or do I go against the masses of Ghana VC?
Yeah, exactly. And then my trade. So I'm going Centra down to Lauren Young, Tessa Boyd up to Sarah Goodwin, and Georgie Prasparkis up to Kara Bowers. So pretty happy with those. I got no doubt Georgie Prasparkis is going 120 tomorrow night. Every player I trade out premium wise always seem to go massive. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. But that's it is what it is. I get Kiara Bowers back, which I think I need to do. So beautiful. Alrighty. Well, Tom, thanks once again for jumping on, mate. Where can the people find you across the socials?
Find me on X at Tom_Hales_. Good luck this week. Don't forget lockout tomorrow and 4 games on Friday, especially those who don't have a public holiday on Friday. There is lots of AFLW on throughout the day.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you're keeping across all that there. You can find me at BAILSDT across socials and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. If you are listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, then hello, you can see our faces on the screen, which is good. Subscribe, like, do all that good stuff if you can. That'd be very much appreciated. If you're listening on the podcast, 5-star rating and review would also be very, very much appreciated. Good luck this week. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy all the AFLW. Enjoy the AFL Men's Grand Final as well on the Saturday. Obviously going to be really, really good there. Who's your tip, by the way, Tom, just before we finish up? Brisbane or Geelong?
It's going to be Geelong, but I want Brisbane to win. Go the interstate teams.
I think the story of Brisbane with all the injuries this year would be cool, but I think Grand Finals come down to preparation and who's got their healthy list and everything. I think if Geelong get it done.
If Brisbane can win with the second-year player and Logan Morris being their key forward, it would be...
And Ty Gallop, 9 games being their second key forward. Yeah, exactly. That'd be pretty incredible. Should be a good one. And then, obviously, I'll be at the Crows Sydney game at Unley, I think, for Noffy's 100th game. So shout out to Noffy and Ali Anderson as well, being the first 2.
God, what's Noffy going to go in 100th? What's Noffy going to go in 100th? Is she going to try
and Ali Anderson 100th as well? So that might be why you jump on. But yeah, shout out to those 2 girls. Obviously, not only great AFLW players, but also 2 of our premiums in AFLW Fantasy. So hopefully those 2 girls go well. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and we'll catch you guys on Monday for our usual podcast round review. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. See ya.
Bye.